this, but my next guest has a pretty busy schedule, so we thought we'd grab him before he has to leave. GOP Conference Chair Mike Pence, among those who met with the president earlier today. The White House is confident there will be Republican support, Congressman. Will there be?
The notion that somehow there's one.
Well, I have my doubts, and I think the American people have profound doubts about the stimulus bill that House Democrats have crafted here. I think the only thing that the Democrat stimulus bill will stimulate is more government and more debt. And Neil, that's the message that President Obama heard in what was a very cordial and respectful meeting with Republicans today. But we communicated to the president in no uncertain terms that Republicans don't believe we can borrow and spend our way back to a growing economy. We want to see the kind of tax relief for working families and small businesses that has always and will always be the key to lifting the economy back onto its feet.
Congressman, we're hearing from the House Minority Leader Boehner that if you score this by CBO numbers and include interest costs, that this is actually a $1.1 trillion package, not $825 billion, so more than $300 billion more than the president has indicated. Is that the number you're going with now?
Well, absolutely. The CBO is run by the majority in Congress. It's a nonpartisan outfit, but it's staffed accordingly, and we'll respect that number. But, you know, it's not just the size of the number, Neil, it's what's in this bill. And what we told the president today in our meeting at the Capitol was, you know, what does $50 million to the National Endowment for the Arts have to do with creating jobs? What's $200 million to resod the National Mall, you know, have to do with putting Americans back to work? I mean, you've got what in the Democrat bill, the Democrat stimulus bill that Republicans had no input on whatsoever. In the Democrat stimulus bill, you've essentially got a wish list of predictable, liberal, big government programs that have been waiting in the wings to be funded for years that have little relationship whatsoever to creating jobs. And I believe it's a disservice to the American people and a disservice to this process. We ought to be coming together in a bipartisan way. But up to this point, as I personally told the president, Neil, that he should know that up to this point, House Democrats have completely ignored President Obama's call for bipartisan cooperation, and they're bringing a partisan bill to the floor tomorrow that's just big spending, tax rebates, and will not work to put this economy back on its feet.
Well, I should just stress, as you and I were talking about whatever the price tag will be for this, Mr. Gibbs has said in just moments ago as you were speaking that he's sticking with that $825 billion figure, that it's not $1.1 trillion, that's the cost right now, $825 billion. Having said all of that, though, are you ruling out, Congressman, any Republican ultimately supporting this stimulus package as it now stands?
I have not been.
Well, as it now stands is, as the bill is coming to the floor, the Democrats filed their bill last night. Again, right. I think your viewers ought to know, and the president, who came across to Republicans today as very genuine, very interested in bipartisanship. What he heard from one Republican after another was number one, we don't believe that borrowing and spending is the way back to recovery. We do believe in tax relief. But we also wanted the president to be clear that House Democrats, from Speaker Pelosi on down, have not engaged Republicans or looked for compromise and Republican ideas in the development of this solution. So what comes to the floor tomorrow,
was anything encouraging when the president put a stop to this contraceptive measure? He called Henry Waxman, apparently said, get it out of there, and now it is out of there. Do you read into that this president is hearing you, trying to work with you, but that he might be having more difficulty with members of his own party, let alone yours?
Well, all I know is that the Republican leader, John Boehner, raised that issue very effectively at the White House last week. I think the American people rose up, and the money came out of the bill. That's why I'm reminding my members, and I remind your viewers. People say, well, the Republican minority doesn't have the votes to stop the bill, and you know what, Neil, they're right. But a minority in Congress plus the American people equals a majority. And if people will get on the phone, start sending the emails in, we won't just stop the contraceptive money. We will stop this massive liberal Democrat spending and token tax cuts. We'll bring everybody to the table, and we'll get the best ideas from both sides of the aisle and really pass a stimulus bill that'll put our economy back on its feet.
Congressman, thank you very much. I know you had to get going and get hopping on a lot of stuff. We appreciate your stopping by.
Thank you, Neil, always.